All right, what's up, everybody? This is Sam Callahan back with the CTG podcast. It's been quite a break because, as always, my spring and summer gets crazy between management of Double Eagle, the range itself, and actually running my private training, group training, and all that kind of stuff. But snow's on the ground. We're back to the winter, so here we are shooting some content, getting back to work. But I figured I'd do a little like where you been, where you're going podcast to welcome myself back. First of all, end of 2024, biggest change. I had a baby. That changed a lot, but we'll start back kind of early in the season. 2024 was interesting one for me. I was signed up for like 8 majors, something like that. I was really excited to travel around. As you know, babies really love like hard plans, like schedules, and they really get along well. So it went really well. We'll start. First match of the year was Delmarva. Headed down south. Again, I'm always RVing around, so I love being able to jump in my RV, head down to a place within like 6 hour drive, get down there the day before, walk my stages, do my whole thing. Nice stages. I really like the facility. It was at Shadowhawk, and I really like the matches they put on there, so I felt at home. Did my walk, had some fun. I ended up fifth overall in carry optics, which was interesting because this is the first and only time I can say I truly had a bad call at a major. I had and I'll put the video in here after I'm done explaining it. I had a true double alpha. I had a true perfect double. And I had pick cam to prove it. And it's not the RO's fault or anything. They scored it as they should. They did as they should. They looked at it. They overlaid it. They called it. I accepted the call. I wanted to not let it get in my head. But after the match, I went back and examined, and it turns out I had two alphas on the target. And it turns out if that Mike was an alpha, I would have ended up second overall in carry optics instead of fifth, but not a big deal. So Delmarva's over. We finished Delmarva in I think it was early May, late April, something like that. I only know that because my next major was supposed to be I believe it was sectionals or maybe one of my locals at Long Island, Staten Island, but I had 3 majors planned that all got canceled by the birth of my son. Pretty interesting way to start May, or end May, really. He was supposed to come in June. And then the interesting thing is he was 2.5 weeks early. That means I had a 6 week old for Carry Optics Nationals, and my wife is a trooper and threw him in the RV with me. And we drove out to Marengo, Ohio with a 6 week old on the RV and spent 5 days on the road going down to shoot Carry Optics Nationals. I'll call it Shadow 2 Nationals because that's what it turned into. Really, it turned into Team CZ Nationals because Eric Rafael showed up, absolutely stomped on everybody with impunity, and left without, I don't even think he shot a single Delta, let alone a mic or a penalty, and he came first overall by a long shot. Now, I did pretty well, but as I mentioned, I had a 6 week on board an RV. His sleep was minimal. I'm not making excuses, but I definitely wasn't maximizing my performance. I believe I came 42nd overall, about 86% of Eric Rafael, which made me pretty happy. Especially being that Eric Rafael stomped on some of our best that match. Now, I will say that beyond my overall performance, the one thing I noticed is I had like 4 stages, 5 stages. I had a really inconsistent finish, and consistency started to piss me off. And that became kind of a focus of my training. I was like, all right, the inconsistent stages were caused by me trying to go fast or trying to go slow or whatever it was. Conscious control of speed, as Steve Anderson puts it. And I realized I needed to train that out. I needed to create a little bit better of a system for the next nationals. And then the next nationals was going to be limited optics nationals in, doesn't matter, 4 months later, something like that. I didn't get to shoot a lot of majors this year because of the baby, as I mentioned. So I ended up shooting Delmarva, Carry Optics Nationals, flew down south, landed in Florida, rented a car, drove over to Talladega, and ended up staying on a little Airbnb with like a bunch of little puppies and had a fun time down there. But Limited Optics Nationals was, or Handgun Nationals, I shot Limited Optics, was an interesting one. Day one went fucking great for me. Penalty free shot without conscious control speed, just calling good shots. Things went very well. I want to minimize some makeup shots after the stage one, I believe it was, and I did just that by really picking good spots, really prepping triggers, doing what I needed to do. I was on a great squad of guys too. I was with the Marines, and couple of them are open shooters, so they're real fast. The other guys are they're all great shooters. So it was a high bar to stay with the guys all day, which is great for me. I like chasing good shooters. Day two was interesting. We shot PM, so I rolled in. It was pouring rain all morning. It was still raining as we rolled in, so it was one of those like, oh great, like trying to stay dry as long as possible. And our first stage of the day ended up being the chrono. I don't care ever. I shoot a Glock. I shoot outdoor dynamics ammo, so I'm not worried about going sub. Like I'm not worried about my gear ever. My gear for this whole season leading up to this match was a Glock G45 with a impact machine milled on Defender from Vortex. So it's just a basically a Glock 45 with a Defender. No other really external changes. I had some silicone carbide in my grip. The only internal change I had at the time was the Timney trigger. That's all I do. I just throw a Timney trigger in the gun. Through some, we'll say, whiskey-induced gunsmithing, kind of like at home messing around, I realized that if I shaved the frame behind the safety of the Timney, it made it a little bit smoother. I did that in like, I'll say March, I figured that out, and I never checked it again. It worked. It was awesome. Well, snap back like a Tarantino movie to Chrono Day 2, and turns out that little notch that I had carved in March had gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until my trigger safety wasn't actually functioning anymore. I had no idea. I didn't check it. Totally user error induced. Like it was gunsmithing induced. It was my bad. But that's how my day two started. I showed up at day two. I handed them a gun. He clicked it dry fire. Didn't even load a mag. Didn't even test a round yet. Clicked it dry fire. Got on the radio and goes, RM chrono. And I'm just, did I do something wrong? What happened? And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll tell you when he gets here. I was like, what? It's very daunting. What the hell's going on here? Tested my ammo, went fine because it's outdoor dynamics, not worried about it. RM came over here. Couldn't be any nicer, by the way. The RM was the nicest guy in this whole situation. He explained to me that my trigger safety went dead. I looked at him confused because I shoot a Glock. I was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. Good thing is I'm a very paranoid guy. I flew down with my backup G45. It's a bone stock Glock 45. Matching slide, everything, but bone stock, meaning I don't have a Timney inside of it. It's just a bone stock trigger. I have the handle it grip stick on grip panels on it, like the $20 off Amazon things on it. But that's what we needed to do. So I ran back to my car, thanks to the RM. He golf carted me back to my rental car. I popped my trunk, got my backup set up, ready to go, all like bagged up and geared up, went to the safe table. And when I went to go check my optic, it was just a little too dull. I threw a new battery in and insert the woes for this second day. When I threw the second battery in, when I threw the new battery in the second optic, my backup gun, I got moisture in it. No idea. I was in a rush because again, day two started with my gun failing, me having to run back to my car while my squad was shooting. I'm not walking the stage. I'm coming back. I'm fixing guns. They're already shooting the stage. I haven't walked yet. So I'm quick. I'm throwing stuff in, blah, 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 go up to my stage. Great. Draw my gun, and I watch my dot die as I draw my gun. I saw a red dot go flicker dead. That's weird. Target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4. I shot without a dot. Target 5, it came back. I don't know what happened, but it came back. I did a reload. I shot the rest of the stage plan. Everything went well, and you could hear in my head cam. It's funny. I just said, that was weird. Clear. What the fuck?
We're finished. Unload and show clear.
But the dot was on. I checked it a couple times. I smacked it. I went up, down. Everything was good to go. Cool. Awesome. Holster my gun. Next stage 2 of the day. Drew my gun. Dot was there. Awesome. Boom, 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 boom. I come around the corner to a popper, mini popper that I'm going to leave a position on, and I watch my dot go. So I shot a popper blind, an IPSC blind, and then a partial IPSC above that one, totally blind. Smack, 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 button, button, button. Dot came back, finished the rest of the stage, did a lot of cursing on the unload and show clear, went to the safe table, discovered a terrarium in my battery tray, basically. I just had moisture everywhere. It was ridiculous. Come on. Come on, dude.
was happening?
Dried it out real good with my shirt, got another battery, like a Nintendo cartridge, and lo and behold, it ran for the rest of the day. It was my stupid fault. I really basically crushed a top 20 finish, which was my goal at limited optics nationals, with a gunsmithing mistake from March and then a shitty battery because I was in a rush because I'm a dummy. So it was one of those like, yeah, look in the mirror, man. That's a totally preventable thing 2 times over. It happens. The cool thing was, after the battery came back and after I fixed it, I shot perfectly fine. Still no penalties, still no mistakes, despite having no battery for or no dot for a lot of my shots on day two. The last 2 stages, it started pouring on us and it got dark. So it was an interesting day too.
Stand by.
Day three, sunny, beautiful, awesome day, no complaints. I started the day with a minor foot fault, but I didn't shoot a single penalty otherwise. There was not a single no shoot, mic, anything dropped like that, nothing weird. I stayed on my stage plans. The one big positive thing I can say is the last 2 stages, I kind of caught a groove. And then the last stage, something weird happened. I caught this like mental, I figured out a mental process is what the way I'll put it. I figured out this way to go through my plan, go through my process, go from the make ready to my load and make ready, or I'm sorry, go from the stage walkthrough to my load and make ready. And like in that like 7, 8 minutes, something clicked mentally. I had the best stage I've ever had on the last stage of the day, limited optics nationals. And I'm happy with how I shot, very happy with how I shot. I ended up 23rd overall at limited optics nationals. By my estimations, without those battery and all those buckery on day two, I would have very easily taken that 23rd into the top 20. But hey, look in the mirror, Sam, that's totally on me. But with that in mind, what ended up happening was I learned a lot through this season. Delmarva was a good match. I could do better as always. The 2 nationals, as nationals always do, taught me a lot about me, about my game, my mental game, how I'm going to do my load make readies, how I'm going to get my mental game ready after we walk stage, all those little tiny details. And my last match of the year was Maryland State. And I love Maryland State because it's an RVable run for me. It's like a 3-hour RV run for me. That's beautiful. Show up the night before, get comfortable, make camp, cook some burgers, walk some stages, have a couple beers, wake up in the morning. I bring an espresso machine with me. That's how comfortable I get. So I'm feeling good, awesome. Go in. I love my squad. I'm on a pretty heavy hitter squad, but just by chance, I was with the guy who was going to win production, the guy who's going to win limited, 2 other very good carry optic shooters, 3 other very good carry optic shooters, and a very good limited optic shooter. So we had this like kind of mini super squad. I know there's no super squads, it's a state match, but we had this super squad feeling going on. And what ended up happening is I just implemented that lesson I learned on the last day of limited optics nationals. I pulled it together, and what I started to do was basically I'd walk up, I'd hear the 5-minute walkthrough, and I'd immediately throw my Bluetooth headphones in. And I have this music playlist that I just like, it just gives me good vibes. It reminds me of the baby and the wife, and like it helps me drone out and keep any subconscious thought away while I can consciously just focus on walking my stage and drilling it into my head and drilling it into my head. And then I keep the music in while the first and second shooter are going, and I stay very aware. I help tape and everything, but my whole goal is the music kind of blocks out any stupid thoughts. And with the remaining brain space, I'm sitting there just going through, just trying to remember everything, remember spots, get good spots on the targets, get good spots on the ground, really make sure that the stage plan is subconscious in my brain. I'm not thinking about anything other than calling my shots. My first, second, third stage, I felt like I wasn't pushing it and I was seeing incredible results. I was having a good time. I was just letting this system work out. And I think it was stage 2. We were the last shooters. It was Sunday. And I hit the high hit factor for stage 2 because they had it written up on a board, of course.
I'm ready.
Yep.
Stand by. You're finished. I'll let show clear. If clear, hammer down. Hold.
So I hit the high hit factor. And the one thing I'll say is I didn't even feel like I pushed the stage and I hit the high hit factor. I was like, all right, cool. Instead of now trying to accelerate forward from this, why don't we just keep doing that? Why don't we just keep not trying hard and not taking it easy either, but why don't we just keep calling shots, keep making good stage plans? There's a couple of stages where people would go left while I went right. There was a couple stages where I started opposite of other people. I'd always get that, hey, why are you doing that? And my answer was always, because that's what I'm comfortable doing. That's what my training allows.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. If you are finished, unload.
So instead of compromising my stage plans, instead of letting them in my subconscious process, instead of changing my process, I stuck to my process almost stubbornly all day. And then by, I think it was doesn't matter, the second to last stage, I finished. We go to the last stage and I never check practice score. I hate checking practice score through all this. I don't want to because it won't change my strategy. It's not going to change how I shoot. All it's going to do is get in my head. But I was feeling good and I wanted to know if I needed to hammer this swinger stage. Did I need to run real fast or did I need to just guarantee all alphas? Did I need to play? It's like I wanted to see where I was at. Well, it turned out I looked at it and it goes, hey, as long as you don't drop a miss on this stage, you could walk around and win it. Cool. So I shot the stage very calmly, still finished very well. Boom. Collected my first overall state win, my overall match win. So it's my first major win. I'm very proud to call that a end of my competitive season in 2024. Went into Maryland, not expecting much, but also with pretty high hopes of how I'm going to perform because of the lessons I was taught from the two nationals and how I kind of put my system together. And the system worked. Went into Maryland confident but not cocky. Was proud to bring home the trophy, proud to bring home a Beretta. It was a very successful season. I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do now, especially with a baby and a wife who is changed a lot of my life around here. But still what I do, still what I'm up to. We're not going to stop doing this. Really, there were no other major matches after my Maryland State win. All I really ended up doing is some more PCSL matches at my place, Double Eagle. Started hosting some more stuff, did a couple more USPSA weekly matches. That's the other kind of fun news. At the end of this season, USPSA started to, I'll say, listen to us, started to implement some of the changes we wanted. We now have a board that's going to fix some of the classifiers. We have removed some of the ne'er-do-wells or at least changed some attitude. So I'm happy to say Double Eagle is back hosting USPSA matches. I will be doing PCSL as well. I'll be doing rifle matches and two-gun matches because that's what people want. So that's what people get. But it was a very successful season. I'll call 2024 a huge win in my book because what it ended up showing me is I needed a system. I needed something that I can define. How do I get the best out of myself? And then, by the way, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher. I want to be able to teach other people how to get the best out of themselves. So what's cool about this is it led into really my next podcast that I'm going to be recording next is the CTG system. I needed to be able to write down and define and have a system of guaranteed success for me. I needed to be able to say, this is how I never miss. This is how I'm efficient. This is how I go faster. If I do these things, how do I train my skills? If my skills are good or good enough, how do I perform better? So I kind of created this system based on what I learned through 2024, and it's working very well. So I'm very happy with the way the season went. I will say it was kind of interesting lesson to learn that full circle, I'm back around shooting a bone stock Glock. After that debacle at Limited Optics Nationals, my day 3, I mentioned I finished the day 3. Probably the best stage ever. Everything felt really well. And I didn't do it with a Timney. I didn't do it with anything fancy. I didn't do it with silicone carbide. I didn't do it with a weighted. I just did it with this gun. And ironically, I then started to conceal carry this gun. And I concealed carry this gun down to Maryland on my RV, unloaded it, won the match with it, and then concealed carried it home. So I'm back full circle shooting bone stock Glocks with a handle it grip panel on it right now. Impact Machine is going to keep putting dots on it. I'm waiting for a pair of 34s to come back. That's the other change that's going to happen this year is I'm just switching over to 34s because they seem like they shoot themselves a little bit easier than this one. So a lot of stuff going on this year, but the mental game upgrade was huge, and the system, Callahan training group system upgrade was huge. So I'm going to leave that secret for the next video, but thank you for sticking with me. I'm going to do my best to keep these podcasts a little bit shorter than previous. I used to shoot for an hour, but I'm just going to keep it between 30, 45 an hour just based on content. I'll just make sure I'm not dragging it out any longer than necessary. So stick with me. If you hate how long it is or you want it to be longer, drop me a comment or whatever you need to do. But thank you for sticking with me. CallahanTrainingGroup.com for all things booking. I have my sponsors up there. I have all my discount codes up there. Thank you to all you guys who supported me throughout the season. Guys like I mentioned, Impact Machine, who machines all my optics, Vortex Optics, all on my guns. Ghost holsters. I don't use anything else but their belts, holsters, mag pouches, etc., etc. Modern Material couldn't be a better rifle for me in this and what I do. I made GM this season with a their stock PCC, so pretty cool. I'm very happy with how this is all going, and I'm really excited for 2025. So thank you guys for sticking around, and I will see you soon. Don't forget to dry fire.